Hey students, we're going to get started with how to do our digital mosaic. Today, I downloaded this picture to my computer. Remember, you can use a picture that you find online, or you can use a picture that you take yourself. I first did a mosaic of my dog, and there she is. So I'm going to show you how to do something like this. So what you're going to want to do is open up your mosaic, your drawing assignment that is in Canvas. So to remind you how to do that, go to your Canvas page and in the Assignments tab, all right, you're going to click Mosaic. Once that opens up, you're going to go ahead and click the little blue. You're going to click this thing. It'll be down here somewhere, and that'll open up your drawing in a new tab. All right, so you should end up having a blank drawing that looks like this. Now, I went over the tools last week in class, but if you missed that, you should be able to just follow along with me. So if you're ever kind of lost, just pause the video and rewind it, come back and take a look at exactly what I did. So the first thing we want to do is insert that picture. So I'm going to go ahead and click Insert, Image, and then upload it from my computer because I downloaded that picture into my computer. So on your Chromebooks, I'm guessing it will download into Images, but it might download into a spot called Downloads. I'm not exactly sure how the Chromebooks work for downloading stuff. You'll have to kind of figure that out. Now, you can see that this image fits pretty well inside of my canvas here. But I want to make it a little bit bigger so I could stretch it out. Now, the thing is, when you make it bigger, you want to scale it from the corners, okay? If you scale it from the sides, what will happen is you will end up stretching it out and it'll make it look kind of funny looking. So we don't want to do that. We want to only stretch it from the corners. The other thing is by default, the size of a Google drawing is this 4 by 3, okay? You can change that too. Maybe you need a little bit of a longer setup. So what you can do is you can go File, and my thing is in the way here. Let me move that. File, Page Setup, and I'm going to change this to widescreen here, and let's see what that looks like. So that kind of lengthened it and made it a little wider. I like that for this. Now, here's the deal. Maybe you have something that's a little more tall, okay? Then in that case, okay, if you do your page setup, you may have to go to custom, all right? And then custom, you're going to play with the inches. You want to use like this 8 to 10 inches. Like if you think about a standard piece of paper is 8.5 times 10. So whichever number is longer, okay, we'll make it, sorry, the first number is the width that goes the long way, and the second number is the height. Sorry, I wasn't explaining that very well. The other thing you could do is, if you like it, you could just, switch these around and see what happens there. Look at that. That just did my widescreen the tall way, okay? Now, obviously, that is not a good fit for what I'm doing, so I'm going to just go ahead and undo that, and we'll go back to here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put my eagle in here, and I'm going to stretch it out. Make him a little bit bigger. Let's get me out of the way here, this video. I'm going to make me even a little smaller here. There we go. What I'm noticing too is my computer runs a little bit slower while I'm also recording video. Okay, so there we go. We got our eagle, and he's looking pretty good. We can maybe stretch it. Actually, this is probably pretty good. Okay, now we also need to create a background for behind our tiles. Okay, so this is pretty important. So remember in the video we watched, in between tiles, that's called grout. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to create our grout. And the way we're going to do that is we're just going to fill in the entire background with a black rectangle. So I'm going to click and drag a giant rectangle. And it's going to go right on top of my photo. And you see how that fills in with black right away? So let's change the fill color to black. Okay. Now, obviously, it's on top of my eagle, and I can't see anything of my eagle, so I'm going to go right-click this, or two-tap click for you guys. Okay. and I'm going to send backwards. That's not working very well either, so I keep I'm not used to recording, and my image keeps getting in the way. We just took me off the screen. That's probably better. Okay, now here is the main part of the project. Okay, what we got to do is create mosaic tiles on top of our drawing. Now I picked something. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm excited to do this, but I think that this is a pretty complex looking animal. Okay, and he's going to be pretty challenging, or she. It's going to be pretty challenging to do the mosaic. And so let's I'm going to zoom in first. So let's start on my head. Okay. And I don't want to quite zoom in that much, so I'm going to just zoom out just a touch. Okay, there we go. Okay, now you are going to, the main thing you're going to use is what's called the polyline tool. Okay, and when you do this, you are going to basically just click and create shapes. Now remember, if you want your shape to be more round, you are going to create more clicks. All right, so there's my first shape. Now you can see that line's pretty thick, and that's because I'm pretty close and zoomed in, okay? So that is kind of the challenge. Now I want to leave a little space between every shape that I do. And I'm going to just start filling in the head. Okay. And let's zoom out just a touch. Let's see what we got. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Now, let's go ahead and continue to do this like this. I wanted to do two pieces for the beak. That eye there, it's just kind of, oh, see, I double clicked and it made a line there. Oops. Undo a couple of steps here. All right, let's zoom. Actually, let's zoom out. We'll worry about the eye in a little bit. Now, one thing I saw a student doing last week is they were like, oh, well, this is going to be pretty easy. Here's what I got to do. I just got to go ahead and create shapes on top of my animal. There we go. There's one. There's two. Okay. And the problem is that this fills in the animal so quickly that you lose all these details. Okay. Now, obviously, with this mosaic, you're not going to have tons of details, right? You kind of lose some of the details, but you can still have a lot of the shapes, right? So if you think about what I have here, I definitely want to keep and keep working on so that I get these sort of cool looking parts of the white head. And then I'm going to have parts of this body that I can kind of separate out. So this will be maybe the first part of the body here. Okay. And I might need to move that a little bit closer. And then for the wings, like I can actually, really kind of trace along some of these shapes of the feathers here. Okay, now let's pretend that I have filled in even more of this, okay? Like it's really starting to fill up with shapes, and I'm ready to start kind of thinking about coloring this in, okay? Well, then we want to make these shapes transparent, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the select tool and I'm going to click and I'm going to hold the control button, CTRL, the lower left hand key. And if you click multiple shapes at the same time, it kind of lets you select them all. If you don't select them all, that's fine too. I'm going to go to fill, and now I'm going to fill it transparent. So see how I can see through all my shapes? And I'm going to click off to the side. And it's even pretty hard for me to see all my shapes. But if I click there, there he is. Now I want to fill him in. So I want to fill him in maybe with this color here. Okay. And then if we see it there, maybe that's not quite right. That's getting a little bit better there. Okay. Now you're going to notice that there's not a ton of colors here. There's a lot, but you might need a color that you don't see. So like here, I'm going to definitely go with sort of this light gray here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And do the same thing here. And we'll do this one's going to be just a touch darker gray, I think. Oh, there we go. Now, then you want to kind of see how you're doing. So one way to check how you're doing, click the photograph, okay, and just delete it. Yeah, that's coming along, huh? That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to undo what I just did, Control Z, or I could hit this button. So um, that's what you do if you delete your photo, just to kind of see how it's looking. Okay. I'm going to zoom back out, see again how it's doing. Let's erase that photo again. All right, so we're on to something here. Okay. Now I'm going to work a little bit further. I'm going to pause my recording. And I'm going to come back in just a second as I'm. Okay, so I worked a little further. If you hear that vacuum in the background, we're doing some cleaning in the house at the same time I'm recording this. But you can see I filled in this wing. And one thing I did is, so look at how I did my shapes. So my shapes sort of follow the shoulder. My shapes sort of follow this wing here, and then my shapes follow this wing here. So if you've got different pieces of your body or plant or whatever it is you're doing, okay, you want to kind of follow along the natural lines of that drawing or photograph so that you kind of keep your own separations there. That way, once this is all colored in, you'll really get the sense of that eagle with the flapping wings. Okay, that's kind of what we're going for here. Anyway, go ahead and start working on this, and I'm excited to see what you guys have done by next week. You don't have to finish it; just work for a little while today, and bring what you have back. If you've got any questions, remember to just email me if you're unsure about what you're doing. We'll see you guys next week.